this does feel to me like there is some holding back. There is some staying, like, I don't know. Do I choose to stay where I am? Some people may be afraid of their own creativity, afraid of their own passion, afraid of, oh, I'm, to this, I'm to that. I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not good. I'm not la 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 la. Good morning, everybody, or wherever you are in the world. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hope you're doing great. This is a message for you. Let's see what's coming through. Any zodiac signs I do see in this message, I will explore in the extended. If you're part of our Pathfinders group, then the extended is connected right to this video. Also, if you're part of Pathfinders this week, we're going to bring our Wednesday and Thursday groups together on Thursday, and I will be doing a longer Q&A session. So if you have questions about astrology, your chart, your spiritual path, anything like that, those groups, the Wednesday and Thursday lives, that's the place to ask the questions. We'll be doing that on Wednesday at 1 o'clock this week. Thursday, there will be no independent live, and be traveling. So just so you know, from Thursday through Sunday, you'll see the individual zodiac readings for February. That will happen. And then Monday next week, or Tuesday next week, you'll, see me in a different setting. All right, let's see where we go. If you want to join Pathfinders of those groups, there's a link below. If you're like, well, where do I find those? There's a link below. Okay. Your 11-year-old self. Bloom where you're planted. I got that for Capricorn, which is lovely earth energy. This is kind of Dorothy. It's all in your own backyard, meaning everything's inside you. Whatever answers you seek are inside you. I'm just pointing shit out. Okay. So that's my function here, is just to be like, hey, and then you go, oh, wow, that totally resonates with me. Yeah, because it's inside you. Okay. To be enlightened, lighten up. Absolutely. That is in the blueprint class. I did a spiritual blueprint class on Tuesday night. And one of the things I'm talking about in there is Dr. David Hawkins did a map of consciousness, and I kind of go through that in that class. And really, you can see that the lower vibrations are heavy and you move up into lighter consciousness. So that's why laughter is such a good medicine. Okay, that's why people say that, because it's a lighter energy. It's a brighter energy. And, laughing at oneself is a teacher. Being able to laugh at oneself. If you ever come across, this is another, I'm like amassing all of these little tests for narcissism. And I think a lot of twin flames or people on the spiritual path question themselves after a while of being in a low vibration with a twin flame of, am I the narcissist? No, it's the lower vibrations are kind of mimicking that for you. But if you're asking yourself that question, you're definitely not. You're just holding on to those lower consciousness. Okay, and it's time to lighten up. All right, let's see where we go. Come here, you. Let's see where we go. All right. The moon. Wow. Some of you are moving out of darkness. I like to see that. Wheel of Fortune, 7 of Pentacles, the Fool. Absolutely. Queen of Wands, 5 of Wands, 4 of Wands. Pisces, Sagittarius, Cancer so far. Okay. I feel like you could be dealing with a fire sign, likely a Sag, who you may be, you may have battled with, or you may have had to make choices about, or you may have resisted for a long time. And, this can also be your creative self. You might have been resisting that, because to stay in, David Hawkins, PhD, amazing guy. I think he passed away about 10 years ago, but he wrote a lot of great books, and talked about, he was a scientist. So he approached consciousness from a scientific perspective. And, when we're talking about leveling up, when we're talking about raising your consciousness and all that stuff, it really is connected to feeling energy, the energy of shame and guilt, and the energy of courage, and the energy of love, and right? And so I feel like creativity is a courageous thing. And sometimes people resist it because they want to, how I say every tarot card has a positive and a negative. The same thing goes for the levels of consciousness. The levels of consciousness, if you ever, okay, so let me just take it out of your own experience, and it's easier to see it in someone else. All right. So my mother had a friend a long time ago who was a total martyr. And my mother used to ask all the time, why doesn't she just change if she's so miserable? She can do something about it. She has all the money in the world. She has all the opportunity in the world. And I'm like, because she's getting something out of being a martyr. It's more to her ego. It's more energy that serves something she doesn't want to let go of. She likes being seen as a martyr. It's more, people only change when there's pain. So if someone is getting juice or he calls it juice, but energy or some kind of, children would rather be praised than punished, and punished than ignored. Okay. So you can see how like with that bad kid in school, like, why does he keep doing that? He just keeps going to detention or whatever. It's attention. He's getting attention. And so until that becomes painful, until that becomes, he gets no attention, ignored, he gets no attention from it, okay, he'll keep doing it. And that's a bigger conversation about how to do that, how to deal with that. But I'm saying to you that people hold on to things. Here's the Four of Pentacles, which really shows up on the spiritual path. Sometimes, we want love and all of that. But sometimes we can hold on to our own position of loneliness or, and you may resist this. Okay. Like, I want love. I don't like being alone. Understood. Got it. There's a deeper level of something going on here. If it is true that you are resisting it, if it is true that there is some kind of resistance going on, which is in the Five of Wands, sort of like, well, I want my freedom. I like my freedom more. And even though it doesn't show up in the conversation, when you're talking about love and you're talking about things, but then you can see it when you get into relationship or when you get into any kind of situation where you have a choice. You have two people who now you are responsible to be in a certain frame of mind, or to be a listener, to be somebody in that relationship that is not just about myself. So if you are having some kind of trouble having connection or getting, people, there can be a wide range of reasons. And so I'm talking about one narrow way of experiencing, I really want love, but why isn't it showing up? There's some kind of resistance there. Either I'm unwilling to give up my own independence. I think I have to in order to be in a relationship, which may or may not be true. Okay. It's what you think is going to come of it. And that's why things don't materialize. That's why manifesting doesn't work, because it's your frame of reference of what may occur that you don't want. Okay. What may occur that you don't want. So I'm just saying that to you because that is just a teeny tiny thing. But my mother used to say that about her friend, Eileen. I will say her name. I haven't said it in 40 years, but she loved being a martyr because she got attention for it. And she had all the money in the world. She had all the kind of stuff, but she just constantly was like, oh, I'm so hurt. Like forever. Okay. My father passed away. My mother lived another 25 years. I thought it was very happy. I'm sure there was stuff that wasn't happy, but she never was in that frame. Her friend lost her husband right around the same time. So they always, connected with each other. and even 10 years down the road. So that says to me that A, Eileen didn't do the work of grief, or didn't let herself do the work of grief, or there's something to keep her there. So when you stay in a level of consciousness, it's because there's something there, and the something there can be unconscious. It's not like, oh, you're a bad person because you're in lower vibration. There's something there that you may not understand about yourself. That's why shadow work exists, because you're not seeing it. You're standing right on top of it and you're not seeing it. Kind of like Chiron. Sometimes you can stand right on top of your Chiron and not see it. Okay. So this does feel to me like there is some holding back. There is some staying, like, I don't know. Do I choose to stay where I am? Some people may be afraid of their own creativity, afraid of their own passion, afraid of, oh, I'm, to this, I'm to that. I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not good. I'm not la 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 la. All low vibration. Love is wanting to come in. Joy and happiness is all wanting to come in, but there's definitely a trade-off. Okay? There's a trade-off when you leave one level of consciousness and go to the next. Sometimes, and I'll say this, I suffered a long time. I made myself suffer. I kept myself in an energy of suffering because of a breakup that happened to me in high school, where I 100% blamed myself. And because I took action, and it was something that did break us up, but it was also something that, number one, this is what I thought was right at the time. Number two, I was stupid. I was a kid. And also number three, I refused to forgive myself. I refused for years to forgive myself. And that can keep you back there. So this has to do with, okay, what are you holding on to that's keeping you in the lower vibration? What do you not, about yourself? It does have to do with ego for sure, because all the lower vibrations have to do with ego. So is there some kind of identity that you are holding on to that is keeping you in a lower vibration, keeping you from love, keeping you from creativity? There's some kind of identity that still you get juice from, or still you get satisfaction from. Let's say satisfaction. And when you change the context, when you realize that that's what's going on, that's when things can change, because you're like, oh, I see it now. Okay. It's really when things are, you're standing right on top of it. Chiron, your Chiron is your wounded healer. It's the thing that you may identify with. Sometimes people identify with illness. Okay, that's like created their identity. Sometimes people identify with marriage. That's created their identity. And at the time, yes, but it's really not who you are. It's a thing that's going on in your life. It's not really who you are. So seeing the separation of those two things can help you move up the level of consciousness. Okay, seeing that. And it's sort of like, oh, wow, I really think I am this pain. I really think I am this. Sometimes people have a hard time forgiving themselves for things. And that's why Ho'oponopono, self-forgiveness, is so important. That's why these kinds of, they seem simple, but they're powerful. Super powerful. Okay. Some of you are releasing and letting go, right? The Fool here. Some of you are releasing and letting go. Once you see it, it's like, that's why awareness is so important. Here, you don't see it. It's an illusion. All right. You don't see it. Things are changing. Wheel of Fortune. You're being offered something new that will free you. Okay. And you're seeing, when you see, I like to say this, when you see your own bullshit, boy, isn't that a revelation? When you're like, oh, wow, I see my own nonsense here. And then you can move on from it, because you're like, yeah, that's something that is like, I need to let go of that, or that's not real, or something like that. That's what's happening here. And I feel like you step into power. Queen of Wands, step into power. You're able to move beyond this level of consciousness into something better. Now, it's so interesting. This is the 4 and that's the 5. 5's all about change. 4 is all about stability. Fool is not about stability. 8 of Cups is the spiritual path. So there's some kind of creating stability and change. Instead of stability being a rigid, fixed set of things about your life. These are the people in my life. This is where I live. This is how I live. You know, I am rich. I am poor. I am smart. I am foolish. I am, right? All these ego identifications. If you can release that and be like, okay, things are changing. So my identity is changing. That's an awesome way of releasing and letting go of things that no longer serve you. I say that a lot. That's what I mean by that. It's no longer serving you. It's not just other people. It's also our own nonsense that keeps us in lower vibration. So I do feel like someone's coming along and all of a sudden shields up. Okay? Because this person is kind of the real deal. This person's on a spiritual path. You're on a spiritual path. You've graduated to a new level of consciousness here. I feel like over the next month or so, as we get into February and March, things are really going to feel like, wow, I'm leveling up. I'm moving up in level of consciousness. I think you will know that because you will see, the other people's nonsense of their own, anger. Some people have to be angry all the time, and that's what their identity is built on. Some people have to be like me and the other, and you're down there and I'm up here. Like, whether or not that's true is kind of, who knows? We're all children of God. We are all capable of anything if we put our minds to it. But since there has to be this hierarchical thinking, that's the thing that's holding that person back. Okay. So I feel like someone's coming in here. I'm going to clarify this Knight of Cups for a second here. Let me clarify the Knight of Cups and maybe the Wheel of Fortune here. All right. Knight of Cups, Star. Aquarian energy. We are in Aquarius time right now. It is the ability to see. It is hope. It is healing. This is real healing. And so some of you might have to let go of the person you created, even if you can't stand the situation you're in. If you want to stay there, there's something you're getting from it. Whether it's sympathy from people, help from other people, or just this identity that you're comfortable with. It can't just be like a perverse kind of comfort that this is, who I am. And if I, you might have an unconscious belief system that comes from parents or past life that says, if I get successful, I'll just lose it, or what happens if it goes away, or something like that. You might have that. In the 20th century, we had a huge amount of people who, because they lived through the Great Depression, and we lived through, in my lifetime, 2008 and other kinds of financial disasters and things like that, that really impact people's lives suddenly out of the blue, that to want for something, to go towards something, is a fool's errand. Because, well, nothing's ever going to change. The people in charge will always be the people in charge, and all that kind of thinking. I'm talking about getting outside of this paradigm. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Because I am living proof over the past 5 years that I have been able to see periodically my own nonsense. And it has really helped me. So I highly recommend this to you. I see my own nonsense, not all the time, but sometimes. And when I do, I'm just like, oh my God, look at what I've been doing. Okay. Wheel of Fortune. Let me clarify the Wheel of Fortune. 2 of Cups. I feel like this is love coming in, and some of you might be resisting it. Some of you might be, we can explore what it is, why that's happening, but each one of you probably has your own reasons for, like, oh God, I've lived alone with myself for such a long time. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can. You can't be in the relationship the way you were anymore, the way you were before. Okay. No, there's a new kind of relationship coming in. And sometimes people are like, I don't know what that's going to look like, so I'm a little afraid of that. So, and it can all be coming from your ego. It can all be coming from your unconscious. It can also be coming from fear, which is a low vibration. If you've dealt with narcissists, if you've dealt with toxic people, it's like, oh, I'm just so much happier on my own. Listen, card carrying member of that club. I love my independence. And so it just needs a little balance. That's all. Not wrong, just needs a little balance. Okay. So, Cancer, Sag, Pisces. Cancer, Sag, Pisces, Aquarius. All right. I will go deeper into those signs in the extended. If you want to continue on with me, there's a link below if this resonated for you. Part of Pathfinders. Rest of the reading starts right now.